he won the presidential election today for the Liberal Democratic Party, and Parliament will be opening. There'll be a special parliamentary session on Monday the 4th to make it official and confirm him as Prime Minister.
What do we know about where he sits on the political spectrum?
People are talking about him as a moderate within the Liberal Democratic Party, and that can be interpreted in many ways. But he is the head of the faction that has the longest sort of moderate, some say a dovish approach to military and defence affairs. So they're expecting a fairly moderate sort of approach to politics from here on in. Well, as long as he's Prime Minister anyway.
Yeah, but he did do a deal with another candidate, one of the two women who stood, who is very much an ultranationalist, very much a conservative.
Yes, and so that's why tomorrow will be interesting, because tomorrow is when he'll be announcing the people in the party, taking the major party positions, and we'll see just how much he has to, let's say, pay back some of the votes that he received this afternoon to make that winning position. Yes.
Yeah. So what could you imagine that some of the trade-offs would have had to have been?
Well, I guess Takaichi Sanaya, who he has kind of made this factional deal with, might get to choose a position of her own making, I guess. She's backed by former Prime Minister Abe, so we may see that Kishida is going to have to compromise on some of the approaches that he might otherwise take. Again, it's speculation till we see who's in tomorrow. Certainly. He did say this afternoon in his press conference that he was hoping to work with the three other candidates, and go forward. So I think he's going to be rather pragmatic, which is kind of where he's been at for a while.
Which will be an interesting approach because, of course, it's sometimes we do see a bit of a merry-go-round of prime ministers in Japanese politics before we saw the stability of Shinzo Abe. So how solid do you think his position is?
We've got an election coming up within 4 weeks, so we'll see whether or not the voters themselves are going to be happy with this choice. He did say that he expects to be there for the 3-year term at least, and so if he's successful with the election coming up at the end of next month or maybe early in November, I guess that would give him some stability in the short term at least anyway.
Yeah, and despite some criticisms around the handling of the pandemic, his party is still well ahead, are they not?
Yes, the opposition hasn't really been able to make any inroads, even during this particular period of I guess we've been so focused on this presidential election in the Liberal Democratic Party, but even so, the opposition hasn't been able to make the inroads to have us even speculating that they could win the election. So as much as I'm not like to predict things, I think it will be the LDP that we have to look at the next election, certainly.
And Donna, of course, Japan is taking a significant position alongside the US President Joe Biden in terms of the region countering China's rising power base. Also, of course, Australia has a vested interest as part of the Quad. Do you think we'll see any changes in policy there?
I don't think at this stage there'll be any dramatic changes. Kishida will pull back a little bit on where Abe and Suga had been taking Japan in the last few years, I think. If he continues, as you said in your introduction, he was the longest-serving foreign minister. He's got a good reputation as a foreign minister in many regards. So I think he'll be keeping a strong eye on that side of things. But also, he talked about Japan's national interest today as well, and bringing that balance in. Japan, unlike Australia in recent times, I guess, does want to work well and cooperate with China, particularly on the economic front. And that's an important balance that Japan will have to take as well.
Yeah. Be fascinating to watch over the coming weeks. Really good to get your analysis. Thanks, Donna.
Thank you very much.